Believe it or not, you actually don't have to take out a second mortgage to afford a brand new HDR monitor in 2024. That's right, prices have been absolutely collapsing. It seems like every single week, especially the more entry-level HDR monitors, have been reducing in price at least a little bit. So today, let's take a look at the best value HDR monitors that you can get, ranging all the way from under $300 to in excess of $1,000. So buckle up and slap on that chastity belt before you leave an indent on the bottom of your desk, because these prices are really good. And let's start off with the AOC Q27G3 XMN 27-inch mini LED gaming monitor. Now, I have reviewed the vast majority of monitors on this list. However, this is, I believe, one of the two that I have not. And also, there will be affiliate links in the description below, as well as pinned comment for your convenience and my benefit. So if you like any of these, be sure to check out those links. But this one, guys, comes in at roughly $280, and for a mini LED display that has 336 zones, which isn't a lot of zones, but does appear to have an HDR 1000 rating, that is a crazy price. Getting into HDR 1000 mini LED for under $300 is something that I couldn't believe we would actually see. And not only that, but it's 180 hertz. Now, of course, I can't comment on the firmware or accuracy, but the specs themselves do look very good for this monitor. But let's move on to one that I actually have reviewed, and that's the KTC Mini LED 27-inch HDR 1000 1440p 165 hertz gaming monitor. This is also a crazy price. Now, do be sure to check out the links again in the description below, as this monitor tends to change in price, and many of the other ones do as well, quite frequently. And you also may need to have an Amazon Prime account to get the full discount. But if you apply the 10% off and $50 discount, we are talking about roughly $294 before tax. And this one actually is not only HDR 1000 like the last one, but it's also 576 local dimming zones, meaning that the blooming should be less severe on this model. Of course, the current mini LED monitors on the market aren't going to be quite as good as OLED when it comes to contrast, but for $294, that is crazy. I can recommend that all day. And in my review, it was actually pretty decent. It didn't have any major flaws. So yeah, definitely check that one out if you're looking for mini LED HDR under $300. And guys, remember, mini LED is that true HDR experience, unlike something like Edge Lit or LCD with a HDR rating. This is gonna look really good. But let's talk next about, I don't know how to pronounce this, it's a 27-inch 240 hertz mini LED monitor. It's gonna be very similar to the last one, HDR 1000, except for this one, A, I haven't reviewed it, and B, it is dropping back down to 384 local dimming zones, so you probably will get a bit more blooming than that KTC model. But 240 hertz mini LED HDR for $296, once again, that is insane. Can't comment on the quality of the firmware, but what a crazy price for those specs. But now let's talk about the next one here, guys, and this is from InnoCN. It's a 27-inch mini LED 4K this time, 160 hertz gaming monitor, and this has dropped in price about 25%, all the way from roughly $800 to now roughly $600, and it gets way cheaper than that. You can apply a 10% off code as well as a $100 off coupon. And this is crazy because I remember some of the first good mini LED monitors started at, I think it was like $1,000 or $2,000 or even $3,000 for performance that probably would be fairly similar to this. Of course, I would have to compare them. Maybe those $3,000 displays are a little bit better. I don't know, but what I do know is that I have reviewed this one. It is actually pretty good, especially for the price, which again is gonna be far lower than $600. We're talking about, for this monitor, 4K 160 hertz mini LED HDR 1000 with 1,152 zones for $440 before tax, roughly. That is crazy for those level of specs. And now we have another version here, guys, that's coming in from KTC, except for very, very similar, but this is a fast IPS version. Yes, it's going to be HDR 1000, once again, 160 hertz on this one, and it is going to be mini LED, but after coupons and codes, you can get it for $460. So $20 more. It does have 576 local dimming zones, so it is going to be roughly half the local dimming zones. I have reviewed this one as well. It's also pretty decent. No super major flaws with the monitor, although of course, once again, OLED is going to be a little bit better. And speaking of OLED, we do actually have one coming in here, guys, from KTC. I have reviewed this one. It does have a few minor annoying firmware issues. However, when you're talking about 1440p 240 hertz OLED coming in at $535 before tax, roughly, that is the lowest price you are going to find for that level of motion clarity. And I didn't find any major issues in SDR that would be too annoying. And the lower brightness mode in HDR also didn't have any major issues either. It's just the higher brightness mode, which is a bit of a shame as it can get significantly brighter than a lot of other 240 hertz OLEDs in that mode. But let's move on next here, guys, actually to a 32-inch 4K 144 hertz mini LED from InnoCN. This one is after a 10% off discount. We're talking about $567 roughly before tax for, again, that HDR 1000 goodness and 1152 zones. So this is going to be a very bright, probably not going to have too many issues with blooming, although of course, still 1000 zones is not enough to match OLED. You will get blooming, but still very, very good specs for $567. But let's talk about another OLED. This one just released. All the ones that I've been talking about have dropped in price quite a bit. This one just has roughly a $50 discount right now, but it's the brand new 27-inch glossy 2K 240 hertz OLED from Asus. I'm currently in the middle of reviewing it. What I can say is it's not the best glossy coating that I've seen, but it does have far better ambient light handling than Quantum.OLED, and for roughly $700, this is actually a very good price, and I do believe that $50 off is going to be a limited time deal. This is going to be, in my opinion, a significant improvement over the AQDM, which was a very popular 240 hertz OLED just a year ago, and it's coming in at $100 less right now than that monitor. This is a good option if you're looking for a glossy coating that can be used in a brighter environment with less issues. But now let's go ahead and talk about the S90C. This is one of the best displays that's ever been created, especially considering that I actually got one, and I think it's pretty frequent to get ones now that are using an S95C panel, and I turned mine into an S95C, which officially I don't recommend, but I did it and it gave me a pretty substantial boost in brightness, making it one of the best displays on the market. And right now, I believe it's going for roughly $1,300 over on Samsung. However, you may be able to not only apply a AAA or military or student discount. If you're someone who can benefit from one of those things, you'll have to check whether or not it does apply 10% or more off of the actual price. But typically, if you ask a representative in chat, they'll also give you another 10% discount. I'll have some links in the description to show you guys how to do that. So you may be able to actually pick up a 55-inch S90C, which is still to this day one of the best displays created, for roughly around $1,000, depending on what types of discounts you can get, and that's really, really crazy. However, let's finish this up with the 42-inch LG C4. I reviewed that one as well, and guys, I gotta tell you, the C4 is a pretty substantial increase in performance over the C3, and it's currently $200 off, coming in at roughly $1,300, which does put it in direct competition with other 32-inch OLEDs. However, this one does actually get brighter in actual games. And again, if you want that larger 42-inch size, I do think that is a pretty decent price overall for this TV or monitor, although do be aware it is going to have dimming, which technically can be disabled in a service menu, although of course officially I don't recommend doing that, as you could void your warranty or potentially mess up your display. But there you have it, guys. Wowie, prices have come down very, very substantially. I mean, getting mini LED HDR for under $300 is crazy. Getting some good OLEDs for under $1,000, well under 1,000 is starting to get pretty good as well. So I'll be sure to update you guys if I see even better discounts in the future, but hopefully that helps you out on your HDR journey, because guys, once you go HDR, you can't go back. Whether you're looking to connect a new console, gaming PC, or just need a fast and reliable HDMI cable to connect over long distances, Rupro has you covered with their certified 8K HDMI 2.1 fiber optic cable, available in sizes of up to 50 feet and can deliver a perfect full 48 gigabits per second connection over distances other cables could only dream of reaching. And with 48 gigabits per second of bandwidth, it can easily drive 8K 60 FPS or 4K 144 FPS 10-bit HDR video through its ultra-thin, flexible, and durable housing, and it even supports ER. So if you're in the market for a cable that can drive a beautiful new TV or monitor, be sure to check out Rupro on Amazon today.